For 2 years now, I've traveled the world looking for somewhere to call home. From the forests of Michigan to the deserts of Arizona, and even over the past years in the tropical climates of Southeast Asia. After searching for many years, I've kind of come to realize something. I'm not going to find home because it's not a location. I've witnessed natural disasters, death, evil humans, but also good ones. I've hurt people and I've been hurt myself. I remember as I was leaving Thailand to go to Malaysia, I saw a guy on the road from a motorcycle accident, and I thought, wow, that sucks, but at least he's old so he got to live most of his life before he died. When I look back on how disconnected I was in that moment, it made me realize something. We're not meant to be living in such massive societies. People end up losing their value. We've been desensitized from what we are naturally supposed to be. When I did my first major move from Michigan to Arizona, I thought to myself, like, this is it, new place, new me, right? But as it turns out, you can't outrun yourself. The self-hatred, the lack of motivation, even my vices were still there. So a long time later, I traveled Asia with my friends, and I did the same thing again. I thought, my friends are disciplined people, so I will be as well, and sure, it helped, but there was still a constant battle in my mind. What was I searching for? I was looking for home. And after 4 months of traveling with my friends through Asia, through Thailand and Malaysia, eventually my friends had to go back home. And since I do YouTube, I didn't really need to. I could work remotely, so I kept going. I stayed in Malaysia for another 2 months on my own. And during that time, I spent a lot of time in isolation. Most people did not speak the same language as me. They all spoke Malay for the most part. There is some English, but not where I was at. Just to prove some points, here, let me speak some Malay to you. Saya suka mengetahui kamu tetapi kecil Malay. Just to let you know, anyone who actually speaks Malay will realize that was really bad Malay, but I kind of learned the language a little bit, right? So I lived alone for many months. And obviously it still didn't feel like home. I got in the best shape of my life. I was in great health and all of that, but it still wasn't home. And so home isn't about being with friends. Home isn't about being with family. Home isn't about being in the best shape of your life. So what is it? I thought maybe I needed a girlfriend, right? So I had a girlfriend that I lived with for over half a year. And in a way, it did feel a little bit more like home. I had that person. I had that person around me all the time. I had that person I could talk to and go to. But the thing is it wasn't actually home. And this is where we're going to get more complicated, because home isn't about an exact person. It's about living in alignment with what you actually need and want in life. Something you'll find when dating is that not everyone you go across will be exactly what you're looking for. And to settle for them despite your problems will create only more issues in your head. And as long as you're unsure about someone, you'll never feel at home. I remember I kept telling myself, I will get over it. I'll get over my problems with her. I'll get over the things that bothered me. And it kept wearing me down over time, and I kept letting this situation drag on longer than it really should have. And she was deeply in love with me, and I loved her too, but it's one of those things you'll come to realize with time, is that you can't stand in misalignment with yourself for so long without coming to a collapse. And so in my pursuit of trying to find a home, I let a relationship run on way longer than I should have, and it obviously hurt them, and it hurt me too, because something you'll realize is when you live with someone like that for so long, you get very attached to them. And so my point here is, don't mistake someone that won't leave you and something that's stable for home, because comfort does not mean you're at your home, right? The biggest thing going somewhere alone will do to you is it will teach you one thing and one thing only. You are the problem. The reality of the situation is like all my vices, all my problems were obviously my problems, my issues, right? It was my fault. It's my fixing that needs to be done, right? And the same thing with the relationship. I held on longer than I should have. I knew from the get-go I couldn't do it forever. Maybe I didn't know I couldn't do it forever, but I knew it wasn't exactly what I wanted. And that was a big problem. And so, and the reality of it is, when you want to find home, I think I know what home is now. I believe home is where you feel, obviously, the things like we mentioned earlier, safe, comfortable, and stable, right? And I just said it's not those things, but hear me out, right? You have to be able to have a good community of people, a good network of friends, relationships, and all that, right? And these are actually very, very important. What home is your community. It doesn't have to be your family. It doesn't have to be that specifically, it can be friends that you trust, friends that you know will never betray you and will never leave you. It should be a partner that you can trust and know will never leave you. And these are things that are actually much more rare than people would like to imagine, right? Because trust is a very big part of it, right? Trust can be broken so easily. Community is something you should be able to trust. Let me ask you this, right? If you live in a place where you're most likely to get robbed when you walk out your front door, do you feel at home or do you feel at unease, right? It's not your home because it's not a place you feel comfortable and safe. And so a lot of people will never feel at home in their own upraising, right? Because they might not be in a place that meets those criteria. Home is about relationships, but it's about relationships that you trust. That's the key. They need to be things that you trust and that you respect, because if you don't respect it, you can't trust it, right? I mean, let's say something along the lines of, what's a good example? I think a good example is hookup culture, right? Let's say you're someone who thinks hookup culture is the most vile, disgusting thing, right? And then you end up dating someone who participates in it, right? You will never trust them. You will never trust them. In your eyes, you'll see them as potential cheaters. You'll see them as all these things, and it will never give you peace. It'll never make you feel at home. So there's certain things that if people don't align with your values, you will have a hard time trusting them and you will not feel comfort around them. And I'm an extremely introverted person myself. Like, I am extremely introverted. Like, I can go a long time without seeing people. When I was in Malaysia, I lived 2 months without really seeing anyone, without even speaking to anyone. And it got to me a little bit, but I was obviously doing really well, at least physically. I was in really good shape. And I say this as that type of person. Relationships are the key to life. They are the key to feeling at home. Stable, trusting relationships. And they're not easy to come by. People are really flaky nowadays. People are all over the place. And so I'm going to have to say this. Do not hesitate to cut people off. And I'm not saying don't just cut people off over anything, but don't be afraid to cut people off when it's needed. When someone has proven to you that they can't be trusted, when someone has proven to you that their values are too far away from yours, don't waste your time. There's plenty of people out there. There's no reason to stay hung up on these things that are just going to eventually bite you in the back, because it's not worth your time. And I know it's hard, especially when you get attached to people. It's so hard to let go of them because, you know, they could be something that you just absolutely despise. They could be a person you don't even like at all. But if you spend enough time with them and they're not completely awful, you will eventually get attached, and it's hard to let go of things. But I think the biggest lesson in life is to learn to let go of all these attachments. Don't hold on to the things that are bad for you. Don't hold on to the things that you know aren't going to serve your greatest good in the future. Because home is not a place. Home is not a location. Home is the comfort of knowing your relationships are of the value you need and the trust you can have.